Good morning, Year 4. It is Monday, the 22nd of June. How lovely to be with you again. And it is Read as a Reader. So let's have a look at our new text this week. And this text is taken from a story called Roman Invasion, My Story. So it's almost like an autobiography, isn't it? It's by a British boy, AD 84. Anno Domini 84, which is after Jesus was born. So let's take a look at it. Even though I was angry at being taken as a hostage in this way, a part of me felt excitement. In all my life, I had never been to the Far East. The furthest I had been was to the mountains in the middle of the country with my mother and Carak and Awin, to meet with a king of the northern Brigantes, soon after my father died. I had heard tales about the wilderness and forests in the east and the magical beings who lived there, although I thought many of them to be just fairy tales told for children's amusement. Now I would be travelling beyond the mountains and would see the distant country for the first time. It was said that Caledonians sometimes roamed that far south in the eastern regions. The Caledonians were fierce warriors who lived in the north of the country. They rarely ventured to the south, where we, Carvetti, lived. The reasons most tribes travelled were to trade or to take slaves. The Caledonians only traded with their own kind in the wild mountains and valleys of the north. I had heard that they did not take slaves. In battle, they killed their enemies and sometimes ate them. The Caledonians were a force to be feared. It was no wonder the Romans had retreated before them. Goodness me. Okay, so I have put I think, I wonder, and I question, and I struggle today because there's lots of I think, I wonder, and I question in this text. Even every sentence I'm thinking about, I wonder why that happened, I wonder what happened there, I wonder what they are. So let's have a look at what I've picked out today. So on the top line, I've picked out a wonder here, and it says, even though I was angry at being taken as a hostage in this way, a part of me felt excitement. And I've put that, I wonder why he felt excitement about being captured. Because he's a hostage, he doesn't know what's going to happen to him, does he? So although he did feel a bit excitement, I'd thought he'd have been angry and probably terrified as well. So I was wondering that, I wonder what it is, why he felt excitement. What do you think was going to happen? The second part I've picked up here is a question. And it says here, I'll read this section. The furthest I had been was to the mountains in the middle of the country with my mother and Carak and Awin to meet with a king of the northern Brigantes, to meet with a king. And he's just put a king, he hasn't said what kind of king at all. So I've put, why did he meet the king? What was the reason he went to meet the king for? And what was the king like? I'd have loved to have been in on that conversation as well. What conversation was he having with a king? The other things that I've picked up here, and there are so many, but I've put a wonder here, and it comes right the way back up to here. And this sentence says, I had heard tales about the wildernesses and forests in the east and the magical beings who lived there. So I've put here, I wonder what kind of magical beings lived there. What did they look like? Were they trolls? Were they fairies? Did they cast spells? Did they tell fortunes? Don't know. But I've actually backed this up with my thoughts here, and I've put, I think they were made up, as it says they were fairy tales told for children's amusement. Because he'd put that, I had heard tales about the wildernesses, and then he's put here, I thought many of them, so he doesn't know, you see, I thought many of them to be just fairy tales told for children's amusement. So maybe on his journeys, he will find out whether they were made up for children's amusement or whether magical beings actually lived there. Another question that I've put here, which is a bit disgusting, isn't it here? It says, I had heard that they did not take slaves, so they didn't take them back with them in battle. They killed their enemies, so they didn't take them back as slaves, they killed them. And sometimes, which is the most disgusting bit, isn't it? I can see you sticking your tongues out now going yak, yak, yak. And sometimes ate them. Ugh. So I've put, why did they eat them? That's a type of cannibalism if you're eating other human beings, which we don't really want to think about, do we? And then I've put here, I think it must be because they were desperate for food, because why else would you eat them? What pleasure would you get out of eating another human being? You can't imagine it, can you? So they must have been quite desperate to be eating other human beings. I can't get my head around that, can you? Okay, so for today in this text, you have got I think, I wonder, and I question. So I've got a few there, but there are many more that I could have chosen, but they wouldn't have fitted on my page. So if you've got room in your science books, that's what I would like you to do today. And we're very excited about seeing what part of the text you pick up for your thinks, I wonder, and I question. Okay, A4, have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy your work today. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Goodbye for now.